Oh, hello everyone. So I'm gonna update y'all on my Phalaenopsis collection now. Here I only have 6. Oops, that's a lie. I only have 5. Yeah, 5. The 6th one is at my workplace and I'm very excited. I mean, I couldn't even wait. I had to just I just have to show this one because it's my favorite. Phalaenopsis bloom-wise, it is just like outstanding in my opinion. And it's not just one side, it's like the other. Oh my, come on everyone. These are so pretty. Okay, specifically this video is talking about my experience with growing these phals in LECA. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like growing their phals in LECA. I didn't want to limit my experience just a year of having these phals in LECA because I feel like I want to observe it more. Longitudinal data is, I feel, underestimated when it comes to growing plants. Like, you really have to see something long term and not just make a decision right away. And although I saw a lot of, it was like 50-50 pros and cons growing phals in LECA, ultimately, like, it's not a bad substrate. You just need to know what you're doing. I still don't know what I'm doing though, but I managed. You know, I keep forgetting that I did this a year and a half ago. All my phals were living in sphagnum moss, 100%. And, you know, at that time I had a really good grasp of like keeping the moss moist at all times and not letting it dry out. There was just a moment where I ignored them and they got extremely dry. That's when you saw all the root death and whatever. And at that point I decided to transition them into LECA just to experience it myself, even though I heard all the negative things about it. And so because I have her here, I'm going to start off with the Phalaenopsis Miki Japanese Pearl. She grew this one spike. So there's 3 flowers on one side, there's 4, and there's 4, I guess. So a total of 7 on this spike. I will include a few clips from the transfer. I'm gonna try to keep it short because I feel like this is repetitive. A year ago, I put out like a 6-month update video of these phals. Nothing has really changed. And so I'll include the initial transfer, an update from a year ago, and then I'll just talk about it a little bit more. I think I'm finally going to try growing some orchids in LECA. And based on what I've heard, there's good and there's bad parts of having a Phalaenopsis in LECA. Oh no. Okay, this one, I'm a little mad, guys, because she was making a comeback and then I just ignored her. Yeah, see, she was making a comeback. Okay, I don't have the name here, but I got this a year ago. She had the most beautiful flowers. Probably my favorite Phalaenopsis blooms. You know, when you're looking at Phalaenopsis roots, when they turn silver or gray, that's when you know that they are dry. I'm just assessing here. So these 3 are totally dry. So there's a chance that I'm gonna have to say bye to this leaf over here. She is a bit yellow compared to the other leaves. We'll keep it on for now. If I need to, I'll just cut it off. I'm keeping the water line below the net pot. Here's the orchid. She's so pretty. So she pushed out 2 separate spikes here, 1 and 2. There are 4 on this spike over here and then 5. Oh, y'all, look at that. It looks so good. 5 on this one, so a total of 9. I'm not entirely sure, but I think this is the new leaf right over here. She either had this before and she just got bigger, or maybe this is just a totally new leaf. It didn't drop any leaves. I think I showed this and how it was dying. Okay, so it's been a year and a half, and I do want to say that, you know, although I kind of like this phal having just the 1 spike with more blooms. Like, it is, in my opinion, just so stunning to have just a statement just on this phal. And so again, let's do a pan. I can't get enough of this. I'm just gonna spend the most time on this phal and I don't care because this is my favorite phal. It is just so gorgeous. So gorgeous. Look at the dots. It is just so pretty. It's not always about the flowers also, it's about the foliage. And, you know, weirdly, I think, you know, all my phals are improving a lot. This leaf has been on for like a year and a little bit, and she's the oldest one and she's slowly going. I'm not sure, but I think the quality of the leaves when it comes to, you know, how shiny and how big have improved. And it was not until maybe 3 months ago I moved to these, just, you know, against my south-facing window, just because there was more hours of light, but they were under grow lights, probably getting 1,000-foot candles for 14 hours a day. That is kind of too much when it comes to phals. You don't need to blast them with light. They don't need that much. But yeah, it's just dusty. All these phals live on my top shelf. And I don't really look at them, and there's a vent right there, so it's like constant airflow. But yeah, I'm really happy that the foliage looks good. There's also more that look fantastic, and so I'm really happy. When it comes to the roots, when you have new roots and a small vessel, roots will sometimes just like go like this, but they're not dead. Like you can see that the tips are still healthy. I think now that it's summer and it's more humid in the room, they're able to like survive and not dry out. Ideally, I would want to submerge these ones just to build a healthy root system. And I can see already that we've had cases here where the roots have dried out. Right over there. An old spike over here. Oh yeah, and moving back to the flowers, these flowers first opened 3 months ago. Like I think there were 2 that were open 3 months ago on the same spike, and they're still here. Phals, you know, they actually do keep the blooms for quite a long time. And so this is not surprising, but I'm just like so impressed and so happy that she's here. I have no script. I don't know what I'm talking about. I know last year's video I had like a script of things I wanted to talk about, but you know, I don't put any phal videos out, so I'm just gonna show them and talk about my experience. And ultimately, with this one, it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. The biggest criticism with LECA is, although, you know, it has the ability to wick up water just through osmotic action, sometimes when you get the roots, and going back to these, and even this one over here, sometimes if they don't find the moisture and it's super dry, then they won't root and they'll dry out. I've seen that with a lot of mine, so that is the biggest criticism. You could mitigate that by, is mitigate the right word? You can add moss, sphagnum moss, just to the base here to form that bridge so they can, you know, be moist, have that aeration, and then go into the substrate from there. It's been 50-50 when the roots have come out into the reservoir and have like sat in the nutrient solution. In this case, every time they grow out into the reservoir, they rot. And I personally believe, I know there's a school of thought that says, well, if there's a new root and it grew into a certain substrate, then it's familiar with it, it adapts with it, and that's true. I do think another factor is the type of hybrid, like how strong the plant is. I do think that's a factor as well. And ultimately, there's way too many factors. Like, what if I kept the nutrient solution and didn't change it, and there was like bacterial growth? That's another factor. I'll talk a little bit more when I move on to the other ones, but this is the first one. Phalaenopsis Miki, Japanese pearl. Did I mention that 2 of them didn't survive? I'll talk about them in the end. So I had 8 in the beginning. A year ago when I did the update, they were still with me and they were doing fine. It was just what happened after that. Like I think in the summer to fall, there was just root rot for both of them, but I'll talk about that later. Okay, Phalaenopsis Sogo, Yukidian V3. The most impressive thing with this one is the foliage, in my opinion. So you can see that it progressively, the leaves got bigger and healthier. The shininess is just incredible. They're still dusty because I said it's under my vent. And I don't know if the previous clips are going to show, but the leaves are so big. They were so big. And it's not necessarily a bad thing for leaves to get smaller after you possess them. Have them in your possession, because when you get them from stores, they're really in the best conditions. And so I feel like you shouldn't feel bad if the foliage gets smaller after you have it for a little bit. In this case, I think it's also because, again, the moss dried out. I ignored it. You'll see it in the clip from a year and a half ago when I first transferred it. And so I am thrilled to see this. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's one here. And we have bloom. So these just recently opened. Okay, I'm forgetting, I should show the clips first, and then I will talk more about it. for you, but you're here. This leaf is not looking great, but when I feel it, it is hydrated. Again, there's two additional leaves, and that's a new growth. That leaf over there. Oh my god, so cute. You can see this root is just like saying hello to everyone. I mean, do you know what? I'm not gonna disturb this one. See, that's a new root that's growing, and you can see the green tip. Here she is. Beautiful. So I think currently there's 5 flowers that are open. I do find that these are smaller than when I initially got it, but yeah, it looks to me there's 2 more buds at the very end. So look at this. Foliage wise, I don't think there's anything different. I think this leaf was here already. And like I said, when there's a spike coming out, the energy is kind of focused into the blooms rather than the roots and foliage. So yeah, I'm excited once these blooms die off, I cut the spike to see how big the foliage gets. Okay, just a side note back to this one. So I do want to say that the last time she was in bloom, because I didn't mention it, was a year ago, and she had the 2 spikes. Again, they lasted a long time. I think I actually cut them to promote healthier foliage, just because the energy is being really channeled into the flowers and maintaining them when you have them. So I really wanted to have healthier foliage, and that's what happened here. Similar to the Sogo Yukidian, I think the last time it had a spike was a year ago, and it didn't bloom after that. And you can see the quality of the foliage is just unbelievable compared to before. I'm only saying that because my nutrient solution hasn't changed in the past year. It's only changed from 2 months ago, and these leaves were already growing. So, you know, I really wanted, I think I said these opened a few weeks ago, like maybe 2. So far we have, orchids are, Phalaenopsis are so pretty. 1, 2, and then the 2 on the other side, right here and right here. And then there's more buds on the way. So that's very exciting, everyone. So far 4. This spike is like gigantic. Like, it is very thick. And usually I have like a trellis or a stake that will kind of support it. But I mean, as you can see with the other one, I just let it go and she seems okay. So here she is. Root wise, I actually don't know if I've looked. Okay, so this is one of the ones that is like kind of 50-50. Look at these roots. And do you think that's why the foliage is so big? So you can see they're green, they're healthy. I'm feeling them, they're good. But on the flip side, you can see one of the older roots here. That is rotten, so I need shears. Oh, there's another one. Nope, that one's healthy. Okay, it's just that one. It's cutting the dead root. But isn't that incredible? So crazy. So crazy. You know, same thing that was happening with the Miki Japanese Pearl. You can see the new roots. Because, you know, as a plant grew, obviously there's going to be more roots. And I've done a poor job with all these valves. I've done a poor job of keeping these parts moist. But honestly, in the past year, I've really just ignored these more than ever. And I was kind of under the impression that valves are really easy when you look at the entire orchid family. They're one of the easiest. And this kind of shows because I only had to change the nutrient solution every month. And yeah, okay, I'm forgetting. See, this is what happens when I don't have like a script in front of me of like points, talking points. I'll put to the side what the nutrient solution has been for a year and a half. And then I'll put on the other side what I have changed it to. I want to bring up an important thing about nutrients. I said a year ago that I think this is overkill. It still might be overkill, but you know, traditionally people think that phosphorus is the key to having like really big, healthy blooms. But I think I was reading an article saying that it doesn't necessarily need to be as high as you think. And so that's kind of why I've decreased my flora bloom in my nutrient solution mixes. And I mean, I think I think they're doing okay. So yeah, every month for 6 months of the year, during the colder months, I do every 4 weeks that I change my nutrient solution. Now during the summertime, I do every 2 to 3 weeks just because it's warmer. The reservoirs are disappearing just because it's warmer in the room. Plants are using more water and nutrients. And so I'm changing it more often now with that new mix that I showed you. And yeah, the nutrients just sit in here. Oh my God, I can't even show you. Can you see it? It just sits in there. There's a couple wicks that wick up water into the LECA. And yeah, so that's this one. How amazing. Moving on to Miss, I keep forgetting my name, Miki Fortune Cat 72, who is also in bloom here. I'm gonna pan around. These, I don't think I've ever, I think I said this before, I don't think I've ever had this many flowers on a phal. On this phal, not on a phal. Clearly, y'all saw those. But on this one, I think the max I've had is 3. And this one has 5. So there's 3 on this side. And then I talked about this, but it seemed to me that this flower specifically up here, I think one of the parents, because these are clearly cultivars or hybrids. Oh my God, focus, please. Stop focusing. Okay. I think one of the parents presents with this kind of pattern, which I thought was interesting. I was like, y'all going back. But yeah, obsessed with these because like every flower is going to look different. They'll have the same-ish distribution, but ultimately they're so different from one another. So that is just amazing. And then the foliage over here. Okay, I keep forgetting. I need to show clips first. So I'm going to show you clips from a year and a half ago when I transferred it. And then I'll talk a little bit more about this one. I'm just going to put these orchids in LECA. This Miki Cat Fortune 74, is that it? 72. So she had this flower. This is the newest one. Look at that pattern, guys. Are you kidding? You know, I usually like repotting when the spike or the flowers have dropped. I'm just kind of scared to put the plant in shock, but a lot of orchid people told me that the blooms will stay for a long time, so you might as well just like do it now. Again, my old method of just keeping it in sphagnum moss. And yeah, let's just take a look at the roots. I'm scared. I already see dead ones. How are you alive? Okay, the bottom part of the moss is a little bit moist. It's doing okay, but the top half, not good. Oh my God, I'm gonna break the flowers. So this is a current status. Not bad. There are some dry ends that are definitely done, but I just want to run it underwater first. Okay, look at this one. So 6 months ago, she had a flower, and so I didn't really touch her for a month because I was just scared that it was gonna disrupt or stress out the plant, but then y'all told me that they'll be fine. So I transferred this one into LECA 5 months ago. This is the spike that was there. And then like I said, lower in the plant, pushed out another one. And that's how these 3 came to be. Foliage, it's the same. Because this Phalaenopsis has been bloomed really for the past 6 months, or in the process of developing buds, that's where all the energy is going, into the flowers. So once these flowers die off, that's when the plant will focus on foliage and roots. And so here we are. Okay. I think this was another one where the roots rotted when they sat in the reservoir because I don't see any. And it's been in here for a little bit. There are new roots, and I actually can see a dead root here. Do you see that? That's a rotten root. I don't know what happened there, but there's some new ones. I should put a little bit more LECA just to cover it, or some moss. But yeah, I can't remember what the foliage looked like before, but I think this is the best it's looked. I think this is the best it's looked. Like, look at this. Do you see that? So I'm happy. To someone who like knows how to grow orchids and, you know, they're experts, like that probably looks sad, but when you really look at the clips before, like it's come a long way and I am just thrilled. Again, the flowers look amazing. I am absolutely obsessed with this orchid, and yeah, it's just so stunning. Other conditions that I'm missing, so I did mention that they spent the majority of the first year under a grow light getting 1,000-foot candles. They weren't right under the grow light, but they were off to the side. 3 months ago, I want to say, I did move them away from the grow light against my south facing window, and then 1 month ago, I did move them against my west facing window. So right now it's spring, so more hours of light. The way my west facing window is facing, it's clearly west, but what I mean to say is sun sets in the afternoon, so you do get the rays like that. And I only say that because these live on the top shelf of one of my wire shelves, and so they don't get a view of the sun if it's up really high, like noon, 1, 2, like I would say maybe 4, 5, 6, they get really good sun. Temperatures throughout the year fluctuating between 60 degrees Fahrenheit to about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, obviously swinging towards the warmer temperatures, especially now during the springtime. And the nights stay consistently cool around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, just because we like, you know, cooler nights and we sleep better when we're cool. So it's not necessarily something I do for the plants. We just do it because we live here, obviously, and we need to feel comfortable. So for about 12 hours a day, it's about 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Like I said, now these are right under, they're not right under the vent, they're like off to the side a little bit, but they do get a lot of airflow, a lot of cooler air, and they seem to be fine. Phals, they're so hardy. They're so hardy, and here is that one. I feel like this video is like not even organized. I'm so sorry. Do I flush the medium? I think because I was scared a year ago, I was flushing them. I don't do it anymore. I think I stopped doing it a year ago. I just change the nutrient solution when I have to, and that's it. The OG, okay, the next two are OGs. Phalaenopsis GW Greenworld snakeskin. So stunning, so many blooms. This is such a hardy phal. Let me flip it over. But again, I'm gonna join you after I show you the clips when I first transferred it. But look at these. So incredible. There's so many. So many, guys. It's so incredible. And like the other one, like these opened like 3 months ago and they're still here. Like they're long lasting blooms, and I am just obsessed. Okay, I'll throw in the clips from a year and a half ago, and then I'll join you at the end after. The next two guys, I have no idea what they are. This one might be my GW Greenworld snakeskin. So again, taking off the moss. Some of these roots look actually pretty good. You could see the green tips here. They are silver, so definitely need to be hydrated a little bit. And it's the same as, you know, any other plant. You feel the roots. This one's completely dry all the way up to the base here. So I'm just gonna cut. That hit me in the face. So we got the majority of them. Again, the roots look pretty good. The leaves feel pretty good too, so this one wasn't that dehydrated. Again, feeling the leaves a lot firmer than before. Obviously, there's a new growth point, so she's doing okay. See, guys, new roots. Oh my god, these are new. So this end over here is definitely new. There's a second one right over there. This one. Whoa. Oh, there's the beginnings here from an old existing root. Look at that. I see one peeking through here. Look how cute. Oh my god, you're doing great. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know which one this one is. But we'll just find out when the bloom opens. So these blooms just opened, I think a week ago. Well, the first one. This one opened a week ago, and then this one just opened this week. From the time I got it, for probably like a year and a half, she was always in spike, always in bloom. And in my experience, these flowers were bigger before. So I think it's because I ignored all these, I dried them out too much, they had to bounce back, work on all three parts, so roots, foliage, and flowers. And so I think the energy is just divided right now between all three. I'm not sure if this leaf was here before, but it's the newest leaf. It's gonna be interesting to see how this plant matures. I think when I got it, and through that year and a half, it was just blooming so much. I think I had a maximum of maybe 6 on one spike. But yeah, do you see the snake pattern? So beautiful. Oh, love it. Okay, let's talk about the foliage. So foliage is doing okay. You know, it's not as big as the ones down here, the older ones. And I haven't had, you know, the best success when it comes to foliage, when it comes to this phal. I mean, it looks okay. I think it looks okay compared to, you know, what it looked like before. But I think it's because these blooms stay a really long time. There's so many of them. And so the energy is channeled to keeping these alive. And so I do think if, for example, I cut the flowers off, then she'll have an opportunity to focus on these. Also, I think because maybe the temperature hasn't been like hot enough, and you know the spike initiation is inhibiting you know, bigger foliage, but I'm more than happy with this. I do want to address these roots. So this plant has been falling out of the planter for so long, and it's only because I need to show this. This is the bottom of the plant. Do you see that? This is the old growth. Like, this is the bottom of the actual plant. And there's just a couple aerial roots on the other side that are in the LECA. You can see that there's a lot of root death here. And I think that's only because, you know, I could have just pulled on it or it fell and I didn't realize that the plant was out, but it was still hanging on with the other roots. But plants are resilient. They only need, realistically, just one healthy root to stay alive. Obviously, it's good to build that root system and have backups to take in water and nutrients and whatever. So I should have done a better job submerging these. And we'll see. Maybe I'll try putting this on, like, what are those things called? Those bark things. I don't know what they're called. I actually haven't counted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How gorgeous. I love this one. I forgot to address that there's actually another spike over here that she's working on. I actually forgot about it until now, but might be another reason why the foliage is a lot smaller. Roots. Okay, see this one I'm talking about. Like, there's some that will just rot when they're saying the reservoir. And I want to stress this again. I don't think, yeah, I haven't moved any of these. These are the planters. I may have upsized maybe. Nope, I think these are the right size. I haven't moved these at all. So same LECA, same amount of salts since I haven't been flushing it. So here's that one over here. I don't think I said it yet, but I don't think LECA is the best substrate for phals. I really don't. I think there's good things when it comes to like the fixed air pockets. The way the LECA wicks up moisture and keeps it moist. If you, for example, forget a watering, if there's a reservoir, if the wet reservoir dries out, it can stay wet a little longer than maybe spag or bark. But I know a lot of people have experienced like a lot of rot in the LECA, and of course just the roots not being able to feel the moistness and grow into the LECA because the surface is a bit more drier. I still, even though it's been a year and a half that I've been growing these in LECA, like, I'm still no expert. I just like, you know, seeing how things grow and observing. And oh my god, something flew in my eye. What's happening? Moving on to the last one I have here, which is the same age-ish as the greenworld snakeskin here, is the Mituo diamond panda. Obsessed. Okay, I'll show you what she looked like, and then I will join you afterwards. This is the second one. So look at this. Wow, wow, wow. Don't know which one this is, I'm gonna be honest. I lost the tag and I was like, I have no idea who you are. Okay, I might have to wet this because the moss is just like, let me just try pulling actually. There's so many roots. Are they all healthy? No. We got the majority off. I already see some dry ones, but I always like to run them underwater to see like what color the roots change, because that's kind of like a telling sign if they're still okay, if you don't know which ones to keep or not. So again, just water on the roots. Okay, so they're much greener now, but do you see what I mean? Like you can see more clearer. This brown one, for example, is done. So I'm just gonna cut just right in the center there. Gonna have to monitor this one to make sure it's not so wet. God, you're not even gonna fit. I mean, you'll fit, but I mean, are you happy? So again, I didn't submerge it so deep. It's okay that there's some roots. You saw how big the root system was. And I'm just gonna run water and hope for the best. Okay, I'll show you what she looks like now. So I'll show you what it looks like now. Don't fall. Oh, it's falling. I'm holding it. So ever since... Okay, it's doing this because I'm pretty sure there's new roots in here and it's pushing the LECA up as the new roots grow, like it's displacing that space. But yeah, ever since she dropped, or I cut off the spike, she's pushed out this really healthy looking leaf, which is nice. This is probably the only phal that I had that had relatively like okay leaves. Even though I ignored it so much. I did cut the spike a little bit prematurely. I like to cut a spike off when like the two oldest blooms are like dying off or dead. Just because again, I wanna like focus on the foliage and the root growth. And I mean, I enjoyed, you know, the look of these flowers like while they lasted. And I mean, you can tell like this, I'm pretty sure this is like newer. And then like there is a new root coming out there. Alrighty, so let's take a closer look. So there's 3 blooms on this side. Again, it's 1 spike, and then there's 3 on the other side. With potential, there's like maybe 1 more bud that might open. And then over here, the buds, look. So pretty. These petals are so thick. Also the same as the GW Greenworld snakeskin. I think it has to do with what kind of hybrid, you know, these are. I was gonna say, I forgot to tell you when these first opened. These first opened in February. It is June now. They're still here. So I would say that these ones, so the older ones here, have been open since February. And this is what I'm saying. The energy is focused on the flowers stay for a long time, so the foliage is like not as big as the other ones, but like, can you believe that? The Mituo Diamond Panda, I'm like trying to look, I can't find pictures of when it bloomed. January? That can't be right. I think there was another spike before that pushed out flowers, because I'm looking at this picture over here and the patterns don't match any of these, but this is from January. So I think it pushed out another spike. Yeah, none of these flowers are it. So bloomed in January and then pushed out another spike and pushed these flowers out. And actually I do see where that spike used to be. It doesn't, oh, this root is healthy, but you're in the way. Right over there. That's where the old one was. They're at the same level in like the leaf progression. And I have this one in a self-watering planter that I usually put plants living in pond in. I was interested to see what it was going to be like. You can see that the roots, some are okay, some aren't. Yeah, I love these flowers. They're so pretty. Again, they look different. Look at that blob of purple there. They look similar, but they're quite different from one another, which is like always so exciting. Wow. Yeah, this one hasn't pushed out a leaf in quite a while. I know the leaves look actually pretty healthy and big, but you can tell just by how like not glossy it is, that these are older leaves. And I think because if in January she had blooms and then she pushed out another spike afterwards, like there was no allocated energy because these, I think these have been around for a little bit. I might be wrong. Future Kevin, please correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so pretty. So those are the phals, the 5 that I just showed you. Those are the ones I still have here. I have one in my office. It's the Phalaenopsis mini mark. And I'll just put a clip from, you know, the transfer again from a year ago when she was just going insane when it comes to blooms. And then I'll talk about it a little bit here. Ooh, these ones are really dry. There is a spike that was hiding under the LECA's rolling. Okay, wow. So there's a root and a spike side by side. So I want to show you the difference. Okay, this one right in the center, that is a spike. Do you see how it's like pointy at the top? The one next to it is a root, which has a rounded top. But there it is. Okay, so that is really exciting. And here we are. I'm very excited. I don't think I'm gonna touch this one, but I'm pretty sure this is the mini mark because look how, remember the last time there was a spike? Look how much it's grown. I'm so excited. Again, feeling the leaves, they feel fantastic. I do see healthy roots down there, so we're just gonna leave her. The main reason why the mini mark is on my list, obviously the flowers are gorgeous, but there are so many that have opened on this spike. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Do you see these flowers, guys? Are you kidding? Oh my god, they're everywhere. Look, so pretty. Do y'all think it's pretty? Oh my god. Okay, I don't even know how many. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. But I'm seriously, I keep the reservoir for my orchids just hitting the wicks. So the reservoir isn't even touching the black part. I know it looks like it is, but because I've been lifting it and moving it, like the reservoir is like swooshing, but I just put enough so it's hitting the wicks. You never want to fully suffocate your orchid's roots because they are true epiphytic plants. And yeah, I'm just thrilled. I'll know that I've struggled because I let this plant dry out too much. So you can see that the leaves are just like not doing, you know, the best. So this is her currently. So y'all saw the blooms. This is what, I'm like kicking the LECA. This is what she looks like now. So she's, I think that this is new. It looks new. I don't remember seeing that previously. And there are a few new roots popping out, which is nice. So do you see that? Oh, they're so healthy. There's one on the other side here. And yeah, what a cutie. Okay, everyone, I don't know what y'all can see, but this is Future Kevin. I'm in my office, and this is the update. So you can see that the leaves are quite small, even though they're quite small and not as big as what y'all saw in the previous clips. I personally believe that they're a lot healthier. They feel a lot thicker, they're shinier, and you can see, I don't know, maybe I'll put in a picture, but they're doing much better. Again, there's this small little spike. I don't know if y'all can see that I didn't notice before. There's some new root growth. And this is one where the roots are okay. In the reservoir, they're nice and green. And they're not squishy and trying to look to see. There's nothing else. So this one's doing okay. I actually didn't notice that the spike was there. It's weird because she had flowers like on a spike like quite recently. And because the flowers started dying off, I did cut it. I'm like, okay, let's bring this to work. I won't worry about, you know, the flowers breaking or anything. And then I realized that there was a spike. Wild. Again, the leaves look quite small compared to what they were before, but I'm curious to see because my office is incredibly warm. It stays consistent. At night, it actually is hotter. Like, trust and believe, I've worked night shifts at the hospital. It gets hot. So it's hotter at night. I would say it never dips below 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And then just goes up from there. Like it's incredibly warm. So I'm really curious to see how they do. But an orchid that really had no issues, it bloomed a lot, similar to the other ones. I think it was one of the ones that bloomed the most. And that is not specifically because I have her in LECA. It's just how the mini mark is. Like, just get a mini mark. You'll notice that it blooms frequently. They tend to push out a lot of blooms. That's just how this Phalaenopsis is. I am very happy that 6 out of the 8 survived. I'll talk about the 2 that did not survive. So, ooh, I'm forgetting the name already. Oh my gosh, it's only becoming a memory now. It was so pretty. Okay, I'll just put a picture here and the name. It was this one. So I think she was actually doing okay until maybe November. That's when I noticed that she had a root rot. I'm not sure why it happened. I think it might have been a situation where I dried out too much. It was in one of these self-watering planters, and I tried to keep things consistent so I could really conclude things and watch them throughout the years. But maybe like the wet dry cycle got like messed up. Like maybe it stayed dry for too long, and then I like really wet it. That is a big thing I see with phals, and I mean it might still be happening. Like you saw that the roots in the LECA, they're not necessarily like the healthiest looking at all, really. So that might have happened, and there might have not been like a new root that grew out. I was kind of shocked because it was pushing out a leaf, it was pushing out a spike, and then all of a sudden, one of the old leaves started, shriveling up. The spike started shriveling up. I was like, okay, what's happening? And then I noticed that it rotted. So what I did, I put in moss in a mug, ignored it, and I think because I let it dry out for too long, I wet it too much. Some moisture got into the crown of the orchid where the leaves are. So this part, you should never wet this part. And always make sure you watch if there's any sitting water here, because sometimes if it sits for too long, you might get rot in that area. So that's what happened. For some reason, I thought I still had it, but I looked all over my room. I think it's when I got rid of a third to half of my collection a few weeks ago, and so she's no longer with me. I still love these flowers. I'm really sad that it happened. And the last one, Phalaenopsis Leo's Berry Trinity. She was here a year ago when I did the update. She had those blooms. The foliage didn't look great, and I think in August I posted a video about plants that aren't doing well, and she had root rot. I remember specifically I squished one of the roots and it like splattered on my face, I think. The same thing, I put in a moss after, and then same story. I have realized that if I have moss anywhere, and this goes for moss poles, I really ignore them. They dry out, I wet them again, they rot. It's this whole thing. So that's what happened to that one. And what could I have done differently? I think I just should have kept an eye on it. Again, the rot in the LECA, I'm not necessarily sure what happened, but I think maybe in the clip I said something about it. Yeah, I need to stress again that I kept all 8 of the, I said Anthuriums, I kept all 8 of the phals in the same place because I wanted to keep the conditions consistent across the board, just so I wasn't, if there was any extraneous factors that I wasn't accounting for, like if they were against my south-facing window and a grow light. Like these were away from the window under grow light. When I moved everything to my south-facing window, it was all on the same shelf, and now they're all living. Future Kevin put in a picture. Now they're living just off to the side of my west-facing window. There's a vent off to the side. This video is longer than I thought. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section below. Again, I am no expert. I am still a beginner. I feel like I'm going to say that until I have more in my possession, have witnessed more phals growing in my care. But I mean, those 8, like I've had consistently since 2020. I would say half of them I got like 2020, 2021. They're still here. I just had that unfortunate, death of those 2, which might have not been related to them living in LECA, because clearly I have 6 that are still alive in LECA. Thank y'all for watching. I will see you in the next one.